The truth shall set you free. What truth is that? It means that there is within you something that recognizes what is real. And when you find that, you're free. You're free of the demands of the external world. You're free of what people want you to do. You're free of what you think you need to do. You are free. Free to be what? Free to be yourself. Human evolution requires you to experience meaning. What is meaningful to you? Once you see the world the way it is, you see that every experience that you have is an opportunity to grow spiritually. And every frightened part is a gracious opportunity from the universe. It brings your attention to a part of your personality that you need to experience intimately and move beyond its control in order to give the gifts that you were born to give. And it's in that giving of your gifts that your meaning emerges. It's good to be with you again. I'm Gary Zukav. Why do I say that so often? Because I feel it. But what does that mean? Is that the same as feeling if I'm hot or I'm cold? Is that the same as feeling if I'm hungry or I'm thirsty? No, obviously it's not. Is it because there's something I've been wanting and you can provide it for me and now I'm feeling good to see you again because now maybe I'll get what it is that I want? Is that what I mean? No. No, that's not what I mean. Although sometimes it takes some practice to distinguish between those two things, and we'll talk about how to practice and exactly how to do that so you can never make that mistake. Does it mean that I'm feeling that I should be doing this, and that's why I'm doing it? Or am I feeling that I should be doing something else, but I'm doing this anyway? No, that's not it either. That's not it either. So when we talk about feeling something, what is really significant? Well, maybe it's knowing the truth. So if you know the truth about something, well, what is the something? From a 5-sensory perspective, ignorance is ignorance about a thing or a fact. But from the 5-sensory perspective or any other, there are more facts and things in the world than you can ever possibly know. But from a multi-sensory perspective, ignorance means you're not aware of the origin of your intentions. That's ignorance. Now we're getting closer to feeling. When we left off last time, I gave you some things to consider, but I suggested that not only you consider them, but that you feel what you're feeling about them, and that was more important than considering them. What kind of meaning could be more important than any consideration you could have, any analysis you could make, any act you could take? Now we're getting to something very substantial in our discussion about what is real. Last time we talked about artificial intelligence, and I pointed out it's not artificial at all. It works just exactly as our intelligence works. It compares 5-sensory data, produces results depending upon what results it was programmed to produce, and then presents the results. That's not the kind of meaning I'm talking about. I'm talking about a meaning that goes deeper, a meaning that gives you a sense of satisfaction that is not based on the world. For example, there is a wonderful saying, "The truth shall set you free." What truth is that? The truth about what the penal code is in California or in Italy, and you can get an attorney to maneuver through that code in a criminal justice system and set you free? Not hardly. That's an absurdly shallow use of the word, "the truth shall set you free." It means that there is within you something that recognizes what is real. And when you find that, you're free. Because now you're free of what? You're free of the demands of the external world. You're free of what people want you to do. You're free of what you think you need to do. You are free. Free to be what? Free to be yourself. Aha, now we are getting somewhere, but not too far. Because what does it mean to be yourself? Socrates said a beautiful thing. He said, know thyself. Oh, why is that beautiful? Because there's nothing else more worth knowing than you. And I don't mean your jealousies, your despondencies, your judgments, your sense of inferiority or superiority. Those are all experiences of frightened parts of your personality. And you need to know every one of them before you can begin to know yourself. And I'm not only meaning your appreciation and your gratitude and your patience and your caring and your contentment and your awe of the universe. But those are experiences that take you in another direction. Well, what is the direction? The direction is meaning. We come back to that word again. What is meaningful to you? What is meaningful to you, as Socrates said, is what comes from deep inside yourself. Well, that's not satisfactory even to me. What is meaning to you is what gives you an inner sense of satisfaction that is beyond what you need to do to please others or to please yourself. It's a recognition of what is valuable to you and what is not, and not in terms of what you want to gain and what you want to avoid, but in a sense of what is most important. And now we come back to creating authentic power. Authentic power is aligning yourself with your soul. You are a soul. You are a powerful and creative, compassionate, and loving spirit. Did Socrates know that? Who knows? Socrates. But he was 5th century, but much more than a 5th century human. His student, Aristotle, had a wonderful, wonderful example of a cave. Pardon me if I get Socrates and Aristotle. I love them both, and sometimes I get them a little confused. But here's the analogy. There's a group of people in a cave, and they're around a campfire, and they've never been outside the cave. And the campfire is throwing shadows on the wall, and these are dancing and moving around, and everyone is fascinated with the shadows that the fire is casting on the wall. All their lives, they've been fascinated with that. And then something remarkable happens, something unprecedented. One of them goes outside the cave, finds a way outside the cave, and he comes back in and says, wait, you, all of you, wait. These are just shadows that are coming from a secondary light. It's a fire. There's a whole world outside. Come with me and look at it. Well, that's a powerful analogy, isn't it? You might say the cave is what we have been in even since Aristotle's time, and that was a long time ago. That was the old consciousness. We're out of the cave now. That's the new consciousness. We see that there's more to our lives than what our 5 senses can show us, than what we can taste and touch and hear and smell and see. There is more to the word meaning and knowledge than what our intellects can conclude, deduce, and present to us. There is more than all of that. That is the new consciousness. It's revealing all of that and more to us. It's revealing aspects of, or parts of processes of, what we have been calling non-physical reality. Now, non-physical reality, those words we're beginning to see, are a reality and are reality. And part of it is what we've already discussed. Your not understanding, not discovery, not conclusion that you are more than a body and a mind, but you're knowing it. You're knowing it. That's deeply meaningful. No one can say, no. All you are is enzymes, molecules, synaptic transmissions in your cerebral cortex. You know that's not so. You know it. That's multisensory perception. That's meaning. So now we come back to the nature of the Earth School, a domain of time and space and matter and duality, none of which exist outside of the Earth School. The duality is there because within the Earth School, we learn the most fundamental of all spiritual necessities to learn, choice. We learn that we can choose. And I don't mean we learn that we have choice, that we can do this or we can do that. We learn that we are choice. We can't stop choosing. We are not responsible for what we bring into our lives. We are responsible for our choices. And the choices are always the same, always love or fear. And your life is always bringing you to that choice again and again. And that is the choice for which you are responsible, because that is the choice that determines the consequences that you will create for yourself. Consequences that are unhealthy, contracted, destructive, brutal, when you choose fear, and choices that create consequences that are constructive, healthy, inclusive, vibrant, whole, when you choose love. And no one else can make those choices for you. Why not? We've got AI now. Can it make those choices? Obviously not. It's a program. It's a computer. What kind of program is it? It compares patterns. And when it gets to a very high degree of accuracy in its comparison of patterns, which could be billions of sentences fed into it, such as all of those that are on the internet, and you ask it, what should I do to get a law degree in Albania? It'll tell you pretty quickly, too. But when you ask it, what's most meaningful to you? It's not going to tell you anything that can compare with the answer you will get when you ask yourself that question. When you ask yourself, what is most meaningful to me? Is it getting the new Lamborghini? Is it getting the girlfriend I've always wanted? Is it having the child that we've always wanted? Is it recovering from cancer? Those are meaningful things. But what makes your life worth living from the ground up? That is the kind of meaning that I'm discussing with you now. Every experience of every frightened part of your personality is an illusion, a delusion. The entire realm of fear is an illusion. When you are experiencing the world, in other words, through a frightened part of your personality, you're not seeing it as it actually is. You're seeing it through the lens of fear. For example, here's one we've used before. A child is playing in the street on its bicycle, and a car comes by. It's a neighborhood street without any traffic, but there is a car that comes by. It brushes up against the child. It knocks the bike over. The child is lying on the pavement, and he doesn't appear to be conscious. And the parents rush from the house. Oh, my Lord, my child, what has happened? Someone call 911. Let's get my baby to the hospital. And they are filled with anxiety, potential visions of grief and loss. That is fear. Every frightened part of every personality wants something that it doesn't have, or has it and is frightened of losing it. In all cases, perceiving through fear is perceiving an illusion. And why is this important? Because how you hold something determines how you experience it. If you hold it as a tragedy, as A catastrophe is something that should not have happened but happened anyway, as the worst of all possible things happening. That is your experience. That is the experience of a frightened part of your personality, and you are not seeing the world the way it is. How is the world the way it is? Just as I've described it. A child is in the street, riding a bicycle. A car brushes against it. The bicycle falls over. The child is lying on the pavement, appears to be unconscious. That's the way the world is, as it actually is. And as you are seeing it through the lens of love, you see all of that for what it is, an opportunity to grow spiritually. Every experience you have is an opportunity to grow spiritually. In the last podcast, I put it slightly differently. I said every experience you have serves the evolution of your soul. It gives you an opportunity to choose between love and fear. It gives you an opportunity to choose to align your personality with your soul. Once you see the world the way it is, you see that every experience that you have is an opportunity to grow spiritually. And every frightened part is a gracious opportunity from the universe. It brings your attention to a part of your personality that you need to experience intimately and move beyond its control in order to give the gifts that you were born to give. You cannot do that while you are experiencing a frightened part of your personality, while you are longing for something, angry at something, jealous at someone, despairing, wishing you were dead, wishing someone else were dead. You cannot give the gifts that you were born to give. And it's in that giving of your gifts that your meaning emerges. That is meaning. It's meaning because you were born to give these gifts. And they're different for everyone. For some people, it could be in raising a family in a new way. For another, it could be building a business. For another, it could be an architect with a new design that has never been thought. For another, it could be a theoretical physicist or a mathematician. For another, it could be a welder who knows how to do this just right and has so much pleasure in seeing that weld come into being where there was before only two pieces of metal. But giving the gift you were born to give is what fills you with meaning and purpose and clarity and understanding. That's power. Let's put it this way. The difference between fear, which is an illusion, and love, which is not, is the difference between delusion and reality. That's why following fear cannot give to you what you want to have, what's important for you to obtain, which is meaning. Back to that word again, which is fulfillment, which is gratitude, which is you are a flower blooming and you know it. You are always facing the sun and you know it, and the sun feels good, and that sun is meaning. The name of this series of podcasts is What's Real? So we started it by looking at AI. That's not real. It only mimics what the original intelligence, your intellect, can do. And it's not going to further human evolution because human evolution requires you to experience meaning, to experience your heart. And I'm not talking about the pump. It requires you to experience connection with others. Why is that? Because you are not separate from others. Whenever you see someone that you think is an other, that's your imagination. There are no others. From the old consciousness, we see things in terms of parts and relationships between them. From the new consciousness, we realize, not understand, not come to the conclusion, but realize that there are no such things as parts, and there never have been. There is one, and all is that. And when you see someone as an other, it's not the other you are pushing away because there is no such thing. Although there certainly feels like there's another, it looks like there's another, but if in your heart you make a distinction, mothers know this, in their hearts they have no distinction between themselves and their child that comes into the world. None. They love completely. That is unconditional love, and that is you. That is what we are coming into the Earth School and have come into the Earth School to learn and to experience. It's the same thing. Authentic power is love, is oneness, is the realization that you are far more than you thought that you were, that everyone is, that billions of individuals are coming to this realization. People who have had these realizations in the past have even said this in the West, where I live. The United States is a Christian nation, and so I have by osmosis learned some things about this presence in the world called the Christ. And one of the things I have learned is that the Christ is, in my experience of reading, much more than a sort of a travelogue of adventures, from making wine out of water and producing bread where there were none and healing people who were ill. Yes, all of that is beyond the capability of 5th-century humans. For me, the most amazing thing this presence, this energy, this man, this entity incarnate said was, "You will do all that I have done and more." He didn't say, "You will do all that I have done." He said that, "And you will do more." We are in the Earth School to begin to discover the more. And we start with discovering that our souls are not theoretical entities in our chest cavity. They are the forceful, energetic center of our being. We are incarnations of our souls. And all of our experiences offer us opportunities to grow spiritually. Spiritual means having to do with the soul. And that means aligning yourself with your soul. And that means harmony and cooperation and sharing and reverence for life. And that is where meaning comes into the picture. That is a life of meaning, not a life of dogma, not a life of shoulds, not a life of doing it right instead of wrong, but a life of meaning. And it illuminates you. And you are the illumination. As you can see, words don't travel where we are going and where many of us already are. But that doesn't keep you from going there. That's why I suggest not that you strive to understand, because many things that you want to understand, your intellect cannot grasp, and it sees only self-contradiction and paradox and meaninglessness. You might say that as you become multisensory, you reach a place where the time has come for the cessation of understanding and the giving and sharing of joy instead. So let's look at that. And we'll do this in the next podcast. What does joy have to do with meaning? How do they come together? And what relevance do they have in your life? Now we're coming to significant questions, questions that are, in the real sense of the word, meaningful. If you're enjoying anything you're hearing on this podcast, subscribe to it. Now, what do I mean by enjoy? Do I mean, is it entertaining for you? Does it make you laugh? Does it make you forget your worries? That's not what I mean. I mean, do you resonate with anything that I say as relevant, profound, and pertinent for you, not for the world, for you? Something that you can use, something that you can experiment with in your life. If you do, if you resonate, then subscribe, because there's more where this comes from. It comes from the universe, as do you. Now I'm going to give you a soul step. Take out your notebook and your pen and consider everything that you've heard in this podcast. And then if there are any that you feel like writing down as meaningful, write them. Whatever you Words don't work. I'm not going to say consider meaningful because it's not a thought process and a conclusion. It's not a matter of feeling because it's not a matter of feeling when you're hot, when you're cold, when you're wet, when you're dry. But it's a matter of knowing, not intellectual knowing, but deeper knowing. Oh, now we're getting to a place. What is deeper knowing? Whenever you sense a deeper knowing as you resonate with anything that I've said, write that down opposite the word meaningful, and we'll return to this in the next podcast. I'm looking forward to that. I always look forward to being with you again. I'm Gary Zukav.